Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku. Here we talk about all the food happenings around Acadiana. If you like food, tune in. You might learn something new. I am so unbelievably excited because Thanksgiving is next week. And for the first time in 6 years, I'm going to be cooking Thanksgiving dinner. And I am so excited. And I think partially because, I mean, my parents have come in the last 2 years and we've gone and eaten at restaurants and it was great. But part of what I love about Thanksgiving is leftovers. And that's the great thing about cooking is that you'll have leftovers.
Turkey sandwiches.
With,
for like a week.
With cranberry sauce. Like that's the whole reason I make cranberry sauce.
Cranberry sauce is for the birds.
Okay, we're going to talk about that.
The canned cranberry sauce.
Okay, we will talk about that later in the show. We're going to break down basically a Thanksgiving meal, and we'll talk about all our opinions on that. Chef Paul Krato with Charlie G's is joining us tonight as guest co-host. He is off for Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
And what are your plans for Thanksgiving?
I'm not cooking anything, period.
Really?
Yeah. We're going to go to my girlfriend's family's house and enjoy dinner with them, and they're going to be cooking, which is awesome.
And then Bob is going to be hosting, but I'm going to be cooking.
Yes.
So it's really just going to be at your house.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun. We're having friends come over, and I'm super excited. One of the guests does not like holiday food.
Yeah.
And so she's bringing her own food to eat, and I've been trying to frantically try. Yeah, I don't understand it either, but there are people, because I have another friend that's like that too. She's not going to be in town, so she's not coming. But there are people out there that don't like holiday food, as weird as that is.
Yeah, but you're going to eat at someone's house. Like, if you don't like it,
we're gonna get into the proper etiquette.
Right. You're going to eat at someone's house, so you eat what they have. If you don't want to eat, then you just eat when you get home.
Yeah.
But you should at least try it. Like, we're grown-ups. You're not 5.
Bob, opinions on?
To each their own.
Yeah. Are you excited?
Oh, yeah.
About this? I mean, because you're going to be washing the dishes, so...
Yeah, this is very accurate.
Heads up. You're in charge of washing the dishes.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much our deal.
It's like the rule is...
Yeah. Hey, I'm totally okay with it. You know what, though? I'm going to help you out because, as I've mentioned several times, you don't have a lot of kitchen equipment.
Nope.
And I'm bringing Chinette and throwaway utensils.
The weekend Waterford?
Yeah. So basically, you're just going to have to wash pots and stuff.
Rocking.
Yeah. So, and then we are both uncomfortable carving a turkey. So I bought a electric knife.
Oh my God.
To do it. I
was actually about to kid and did you get one of those little electric saw blade knives?
I got an electric knife to help cut it because honestly, I would break it down with my hands, but I don't think everyone there at the dinner would appreciate that. But
you can get you some gloves. You can buy latex gloves.
And I asked Bob, I was like, how comfortable are you carving a turkey? And he was like, not.
I mean, I could do it.
Yeah.
I just don't know what it's going to look like.
Do you have one of the piercing forks, like the long forks?
I do. And I will be using that with the electric knife.
Yeah, I was like, if you use that and you just stab it in on a bias.
Yeah.
If you're cutting it, you just do a little bit off center and you cut it in directly in the center so you have a good slice.
Mm-hmm.
You have a piece attached to the blade, to the actual fork itself, so it's easy to move. So your fingers and hands are never really there, and you're protected. But you can also guide your cut with the fork itself.
I know. Maybe next time I just didn't want to hack it up. I wanted it to be pretty cuts. And the other thing that we're going to have to do...
It's not going to be pretty coming out. It's going to taste fine.
After... we leave is I'm deboning the whole thing. I got to pull all the meat off because I'm going to make a gumbo with the
bones
with the carcass.
Right,
yeah. And I guess I was trying to decide if I was going to cut the wings off to let somebody eat or if I'll just use those for the stock too.
Keep the wings and the neck for the stock.
Yeah.
No one's going to eat the wing.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think about the organ meats that come with it? Because I was thinking about throwing that into the stock too.
That's good for stock, but I also like using it for if we're making a gravy.
Yeah, and I'm making a gravy, and I was thinking about that. But if I want it in the gravy, I want it pureed.
Well, yeah, I mean, you would blast it.
So I wish I had an immersion blender.
Well, you have a
one of the
processor.
Yeah.
So you start, say you get a pan going for your gravy, and you start with your proteins and first, like all the odds and ends or whatever, and you cook that, get them brown, get them fully cooked, throw that into the food processor. And
so
blast it.
So you think that I should save it to do for the gravy
I think it would give you
well, do I need to cook? I need to obviously cook it. I can't put it in raw to the gravy, correct?
Right. Yeah,
okay.
no. Like that's what I was saying. Like you have like your pan that you would like reduce your gravy in, like all the juices.
Yeah.
So you start off with like some onions and like your odds and ends. Get all that fully cooked, put that in a food processor, blast it until it's nice and smooth.
Gotcha.
Put that into the pan and then cut in your juice and stir it up until it thickens.
Okay, cool. So we are going to be taking calls from you guys tonight. If you have any last minute Thanksgiving questions that you want to ask us, you can call in at 232-1542. Also, if you just have great Thanksgiving memories that you want to share with us or Thanksgiving disasters, you can call in and we can laugh about it or cry about it together, depending on. We almost had a disaster today. We went to Costco to get. I had mentioned last week they had really affordable like meat and cheese boards,
right?
And I went and got that because I'm gonna do that for like a little something for people to snack on, while I'm running around with my head cut off. And I was gonna get the pumpkin cheesecake. They have pumpkin cheesecake there. I was going to get that because I'm making everything. I was not going to do dessert this year. I was kind of like, no. So got the pumpkin cheesecake. By the way, everyone in Lafayette had the same exact idea as me today. Costco was insane.
It's like that.
Yeah.
Just gonna get a bunch of dessert.
It was so crazy. Like, that's true. Like the pie section. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like,
everyone.
Like, Bob, fend for yourself. Like,
people,
I was like,
people struggle enough like cooking like the actual dinner. Then like, dessert's daunting. Dessert's intimidating because it's either going to be great or you're going to mess it up and you won't know until it's done.
Right. So got that, checked out, got to the car. Bob put the cheesecake in the back seat and he braked and the cheesecake flew off of the back seat and went on the floorboard, and he started cursing because Bob is like a super nice man, except when he drives, like this alter Jekyll ego comes out, and there's like a lot of explicits and like a rage, and like it's terrible.
That's how Emily.
It's terrifying to me. And he thought that the cheesecake had opened up, and so it was on its side. And he's lucky because I picked it up from the side, and when I put it in my lap, it was actually open. So it could have potentially been way worse than it was. All the whipped cream that was on the top, beautifully decorated, is now on the top of the plastic. So that was our hopefully our only disaster this year. And he put it in the freezer, and we're just and it was only like a few slices that I did.
At least she got it out the way early,
right? And look, I would rather contend with that than when I'm going to inject my bird Wednesday night and it still be frozen. Which, by the way, everyone should have their turkeys defrosting by this point. Like, it needs to be defrosting.
Yeah.
It needs to be happening. We had a little debate on my private Facebook page because I kind of asked people's opinions on this because I am notorious for still getting a frozen bird. And your advice was to put it on the counter, to which everyone freaked out. But it's not like leaving it overnight on the counter. You're saying leave it for a few hours.
Okay. So
maybe not even a few hours.
It is absolutely the safest way to defrost turkey by cold thawing it until it's ready. But it's not the only safe way. It's the way that you do it where you don't have to focus on it or anything. And then you get fed all this stuff from like the FDA, the USDA, and everything on like time and temp and everything else. And people partially read that versus reading the entire thing and getting very educated on it. And they get like this little panic that, they're going to die from salmonella or like bacteria and food poisoning. And they read the beginnings of it without having to go in depth. And like what people don't understand is when you take that turkey out of the freezer, it's coming out at 0 to 6 degrees. It's got to rise to 45 degrees before it's even close to the danger zone. At that point, you got 2 hours of that danger zone to get it under 45 degrees or above 160 to prevent any bacterial growth that could potentially cause foodborne illness. You're trying to thaw a 30-pound block of ice.
Right.
So something like that isn't water, that's solid, that's mass, it's going to take a long time to thaw. So like you're pretty much safe for a few hours
right.
before you need to get it under chill or cooked.
But we're not recommending leaving it out overnight.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Not
unless like you're up north and it's like 0 degrees
right.
outside.
And I mean, that's something to take into consideration too. Well, how cold your refrigerator is, how cold you keep your house, the climate on the outside. Right. These are all things that you have to take into consideration. That's what I was explaining
is like now it's like 60 degrees outside.
Right, so it's not like super
80,
hot,
right? People's houses
and I think that my refrigerator is too cold because I actually pulled eggs out today and they were frozen. So I think that's part of the problem. Is my fridge is too.
Yeah, that's all. It's something to adjust because you can lose a lot of product if your stuff is too cold. Like your vegetables can get ruined and endless options.
All right, we are going to take our first break. And again, 232-1542. If you guys have any questions or want to share Thanksgiving nightmares or memories. So come back to us. It is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Follow Tiffany on Instagram. Just search the Lafayette Food Junkie.
So what is foundation failure?
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku. Chef Paul Krato is joining tonight as a guest co-host, and Bob Burrell is also joining in as sidekick. And we're encouraging people to call in tonight, 232-1542. If you guys have any questions or want to share like nightmares or memories, you guys can call in to do that. So let's start with the main event, the turkey. Do you have a preferred method that you like to cook the turkey?
Yes. I generally marinate my turkey with like injections. I also cut in slits and I shove in cloves of garlic along with like herbs and other stuff like that underneath the breast, like along like the bones, like the rib cage lines.
Okay.
I always put frozen butter pats underneath the skin of the breast, and I cook it upside down up until the last 30 minutes, and then I flip it breast side up and finish it with a broiler.
So when you flip it, like all the juice doesn't come running out?
Well, no, because like I do it in a big pan.
Okay.
So the breast is like sitting in the juice the entire time it's cooking. So you have to be careful whenever you go to flip it, and like you would generally grab it with some gloves, turn it over, and set it back in the juice. So the bottom is still like full of juice, and it's all on the inside. And you start broiling it, and when it's done, you can just take the turkey right out of the juice, set it down, and then you can take the juice, strain it of any vegetables or whatever else you have, and turn it into your gravy.
How do you feel about brining a turkey?
I don't do it. But
you have to have a lot of room to be able to do that, I feel like.
That's the thing.
Because doesn't it need to be refrigerated?
Well, it doesn't necessarily need to be refrigerated. Let's say if you're going to cook it that day, you can brine it out in temp. You can brine it and then put it back under cool if you want as well. Like you can do a hot brine where you get everything dissolved, get enough liquid, and then chill it. Make sure it's nice and cold. Then you can put your cold turkey into the cold brine over a handful of hours and then put it back so it won't adjust the temperature too much. But that's my only issue with brining is that you normally don't have the kind of space, like, because you need like at least a 5-gallon bucket, maybe something bigger than that, depending on the size of your turkey. And it's the reward is great, but the hassle and potential mess inside your home, I just never wanted to mess with it. But like anytime I cook chicken, whole chickens or
you
anything
brine
like that,
it.
I always brine it.
I along the same lines, I am a huge fan, and this is what I had all the time growing up, is fried turkey. Like that is my favorite thing in the entire world.
I'm not a fan of fried turkey.
I saw this year, because you probably didn't have my dad's, and my dad's was amazing.
Oh,
just saying.
It's not that I don't like it. Like if I had to choose, a baked turkey would win
over a fried turkey.
Over a fried or smoked turkey. That's just how I
see. When we did smoked turkeys for Christmas, and I'm a big fan of smoked turkey as well. I saw this year that they have oilless turkey fryers.
Right.
But you still have to use it outside. So if you live in an apartment, that kind of makes it difficult. That kind of takes it out, out. Okay, so we were talking about resting the turkey prior to putting it in the oven. And you were saying that this is a good idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Anytime you're cooking proteins, while we can't do this in a restaurant for the most part, it's best to cook all proteins at room temperature. Like if you killed an animal and you cooked it right there, it would be at its very best. The reason for that is you're not trying to knock off a chill using heat. So if you take something that's at 40 degrees and you put it on something that's hundreds of degrees, it's a huge extreme difference in temperature. So the cold is immediately turning hot, so it's going to want to shrivel up. And that's why if you've ever cooked like a cold steak, like a pork chop especially, because like they're very, very firm, they kind of curl, and you don't end up with like an even cook on it. It has like this little indention in it. If it was at room temperature, that wouldn't happen.
Gotcha.
It doesn't have an extreme shock to it that's going to cause it to like shrink up, and then it's going to start drying out. So you need to let it rest so you don't lose any more of the juices that you've already lost.
And along those same lines, when you take it out of the oven, you want to let it rest as well.
Right, because when everything is like nice and hot and like all your juices are flowing, it's, if you think about it, it's almost like molecules that are just vibrating and vibrating and vibrating. So if you open up an area where the molecules are vibrating, they're going to want to escape really, really fast, versus if they were calm, sitting still, they wouldn't want to run out.
So, and we were talking about time-wise, like 45 minutes to an hour for resting.
That's just to get a good like
and pre-oven.
It gives it enough time to knock the chill off the outside. You're not going to knock the chill off the entire bird, but as long as like the outside is at room temperature, like about a quarter inch deep, I guess would be a good assumption. That's going to allow it to cook properly without losing that much juice. You'll end up with better crusts. It's just it's a more efficient way and better way of cooking, but where we can't do that much in the restaurants because of the health risks and everything else that the laws that they lay down on us. So it kind of messes with like people's judgment, because like they're ignorant to the fact that you can do this, but they're known.
Restaurant regulations are way different than cooking in your home. So I'm going to be injecting mine. I always do mine with like a Creole butter is what I'll inject mine with. And then I'm going to be putting butter on the outside of it. And then I have this rub from the Pork Mafia. I know you're familiar with those guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to be putting that rub on the outside of the turkey. So that's what I'm going to be doing it. I change it up every time. Like I said, it's been 6 years since I've made a turkey. Last turkey that I made was a turkey roll that you had helped me make. Right. Okay. So let's talk about cranberry sauce, canned versus making. Once I learned how to make cranberry sauce and how incredibly easy it was to make, I make it. However, I will say that there is an ease, especially if you like it on a sandwich, that the can has to be able to slice it and it to be able to go on the sandwich easier.
In no world should that stuff ever be served to anyone. Like,
I'm with you. I like fresh prepared cranberry sauce. However, I also really like cranberry on a sandwich. And I'm just saying that I feel like it sits easier.
I'd much prefer like a cranberry compote. And you can spread that around. You can turn it into a spread. You can even, if you want, you can take your own cranberry juice, get it tasting the way that you want it, and you can throw in a ton of gelatin, agar, xanthan gum, whatever, any kind of thickness you want, and chill it and let it block up like the canned stuff, and you have a better version of the stuff that they're selling you in that can. And they're overcharging for what it is, and it's probably like 25 cents a can. Like, that's,
you know what I've been seeing floating around on social media is making cranberry sauce in an Instapot, and I'm like, why? It takes 5 minutes on the stovetop to make it. But I guess maybe if like you're trying to conserve stovetop space, you'll have that there. It's like so easy to make on a stovetop. Why do you need to make it in an Instapot?
Crock pot. Just think of it like a crock pot.
Well, yeah.
It's easy to make a pot roast on the stove, but it's far easier just to throw it in that pot and forget about it.
It was literally the same time. Like, it took the same amount of time.
Yeah, but there's no, like, you don't have to sit there and
stir it, I guess. Okay, so I can see the rationale. I can see the rationale there with that.
Do all the same stuff, but I don't have to mess with it.
Right.
Like, that's how people approach, like, their food now, is like, I want to do all this stuff, but I also don't want to mess with it.
Right. Okay, so let's talk another almost as important as the turkey, stuffing or dressing. Where in the South, it's more than likely going to be dressing. Mm-hmm. Are you a cornbread, rice dressing, or are you a stuffing person?
Okay, I love stuffing, and I am not partial to any one, but if I had to choose, like, I've had stuffed turkeys with rice dressing, cornbread dressing, oyster dressing, etouffee, all kinds of like different things like that. I'm fine with that. I've had just a bunch of random vegetables just shoved in there, which is also good. I'm for stuffing it doesn't matter what it is as long as it's good.
I do not like sage. And I know that that's like one of the huge components and dressing and stuffing. So I have found a recipe that was my ex-mother-in-law's, which is cornbread. Like she takes the Jiffy cornbread mix, makes the cornbread, and then crumbles it all up. Richard's rice dressing mix. Like it's not the rice, it's just like the meat, and everything that you would make it with. You combine that with it, you mix it all up. If it's a little too dry, you add chicken stock to it. And then somebody asked me about this recipe today, and I'm like the worst recipe because I'm like, this is your base and then season to taste. So you can literally like add green onions to it if you wanted, salt and pepper, however you want to do it. Put it in the oven, 375, like maybe 30 minutes. Yeah. I like mine to be a little crispier, and I don't like it to be as moist. So mine's a little drier, but depending on your liking of your dressing is, how long you would cook it for.
So my grandmother, she used to make a cornbread dressing for her turkeys when I was younger, and I always loved it. What she would do is she'd make a big, like, cornbread cake, and she'd break it up into chunks, and then she'd pop that in the oven until they were toasty on the outside. And then she'd fold in like sauteed onions, bell peppers, garlic, green onions, and her main thing that she used outside of like normal seasonings was the imperins and Tabasco. And that mixture together, mixed in, like absorbing all the cornbread stuff in there, was fantastic.
I also really like oyster stuffing, like a cornbread base, but then they put oysters in it. I believe that Little Big Cup, that's their stuffing that they make.
Yeah, Blue Dog used to do one.
And I really like an oyster in there.
I don't know if they do it anymore since the switch.
Yeah.
But the one that they had like back in the day, it was actually good, and it was legit. Their cornbread, their rice dressing mix, which was just like the meat base, and cooked oysters, and it was ballin'.
Bob, do you have a dressing preference?
My sister makes an amazing cornbread dressing. That is pretty much the only dish that I look forward to come Thanksgiving time. However, hear me out. How about instead of dressing or cornbread dressing or rice dressing, you just fill your turkey with boudin?
I mean, I'm sure that it's been done. I'm sure that you can go to Hebert Specialty Meats and get a boudin stuffed turkey. Like, I'm sure it exists.
You could probably get a boudin shaped as a turkey.
There you go.
I mean, boudin stuff, boudin. I like it.
And on that note, we're going to take another break. So come back to us. It is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Go along on all of Tiffany's food adventures. Like the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on Facebook.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Daku, and we've been talking with Chef Paul Krato with Charlie G's. Bob Burrell is also on the phone, encouraging guys to call in with any questions or Thanksgiving memories or nightmares that you guys want to share, 232-1542. Okay, so this is something that I've noticed around here. Not a lot of people cook, but it is a must for me. Mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving. What are your thoughts on mashed potatoes for the holidays?
I think I feel like everyone should cook mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, all right, like if you're gonna have it, you might as well just cook it. Like,
especially if you're making gravy, like you need something to put the gravy on.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I have uses for instant mash, but it doesn't involve like mashed potatoes. Like they're great like gravy thickeners. There's like a lot of tricks you can use like instant mash for. They're good in folding into like ground meat and stuff like that, along with like powdered milk.
Oh no, I'm like peeling potatoes. Right. Yeah. I researched. Bon Appetit says the best potato to use for mashed potatoes is Yukon Gold. So I'm going to be purchasing Yukon Gold. I'm going to be boiling them. And also a good mashed potato should have only really butter, salt, and pepper, maybe a little heavy cream. And so that's what I'm going to be doing it. I'm hand mashing it because I used to use, like, before I started cooking again and baking, the only thing I used my very nice Kenmore stand-up mixer was to make mashed potatoes with. And it beats it too much, and it makes it really like paste almost. Like
years ago when I worked at Bonefish, when they actually made everything in-house, so this is like a lifetime ago, we used to do whipped mashed potatoes over there, and if you did it with the whipping attachment, like with the whisk attachment, it always came out like paste. We ended up doing it with the paddle.
Oh.
The paddle.
I feel like that's what I use.
The paddle, it breaks it up, but it doesn't turn it into like that super smooth paste.
I'm hand mashing mine.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it's
I'm
just easier. It's less work, less stuff to clean. You just
that's what I'm doing, and then like lots of butter, salt, pepper, and then like a little bit of heavy cream. Bob, are you a fan of? I'm such a fan of mashed potatoes, and I don't eat them all the time. So for me, it's like a holiday special thing.
And they're super versatile. Like, you ever made long fries?
No, what's that?
Long fries is mashed potato fries.
What?
What they do is they boil potatoes like skinless, and then they mash them down and then they take cold cream, butter, and different seasonings and fold that in.
Oh.
And they run it through like a press that shoots out like kind of like a churro.
Yeah.
But it's with mashed potatoes, and they fry that in long strips, and they serve it like poutine.
See, I was thinking like to also with the leftovers is to do some kind of like a fry with it, like kind of fry it.
Yeah, well, and like a lot of people, they'll do dumplings like pot stickers.
Oh,
do,
yeah.
mashed potatoes, and they deep fry them.
Okay.
And those are fantastic. What else is there? You can do a bunch of different things. Like I like taking old mash and then putting other stuff in it. Like, have you ever had like wasabi mashed potatoes?
I have not, but that actually sounds really good.
Wasabi powder and like good mashed potatoes, fantastic. I've had white chocolate mashed potatoes, which are also good. White chocolate macadamia nut mashed potatoes, which are also good. It's super versatile.
Okay, well that's good to know. And then I am making. It was either green bean casserole or macaroni and cheese. Again, macaroni and cheese is something that I don't make all the time. So I'm making a macaroni and cheese. I found a recipe from Alton Brown years ago. That's what I use, except I'm not putting onions in mine. It also has a bay leaf. It calls for a bay leaf. But the thing that I took away from it that I use anytime I make macaroni and cheese now is the dry mustard that he added to it.
Yeah.
And that's like my secret component for any macaroni and cheese. Now, what are your thoughts? I'm like a strict sharp cheddar girl. I know a lot of macaroni and cheese recipes have Gruyere or they like add like 4 or 5 different cheeses. I like to keep it simple and just like one cheese.
So this is how I feel about it. My mac and cheeses are generally simple. It's just like a little bit of cream, butter, maybe some wine, salt, pepper, always sharp cheddar. But if I'm putting other cheeses in it, I make the mac and cheese with sharp cheddar, and then I put the other cheeses on top and pop it in the oven.
Okay.
So you get the other cheese, but it's not the main component of the mac.
Do you like breadcrumb? Are you breadcrumbs, breadcrumbs on top, or cheese on top? I'm doing cheese and breadcrumbs this year.
I like both. Breadcrumbs is fine. I like that crunchy like aspect of like kind of like gratin. It's always good. And it depends on like what they're using. Like if they're just using like just regular like unseasoned breadcrumbs, then leave it off. But if you're doing like
they're panko with and butter,
right? Like something like that, then they're fine. I also like chips. If you take like potato chips and like dust,
I saw cornflakes too.
Then, like stuff like that. Like that's always good. Mac and cheese with like sour cream and onion chips is always fantastic.
Ooh,
yeah,
getting fancy.
Different Zaps. Zaps is like the perfect crusting chip. They're super crunchy. They're crumbly.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
So speaking of Thanksgiving disasters and mac and cheese, my sister, the one that's not a chef, the one that can burn water, her tradition was that she would bring mac and cheese for Thanksgiving whenever we would get together as, have our big family meal. And she brought mac and cheese one year and it was horrible. And we couldn't figure out what had happened. She did was instead of milk, she used eggnog.
Oh.
And it was not good. And I was very adventurous and like, man, it was so bad.
I have had macaroni and cheese where they got the salt mixed up with the sugar. And I know that there are macaroni and cheese recipes out there that have sugar in them. I do not like sugar in mine, so I was like, this is not good. No. I know that there are macaroni and cheese recipes out there that do have sugar.
There shouldn't be.
No, there's like a Jamaican macaroni. They make like this macaroni pie thing, and they put sugar in it. But
if it's good, then it's good. But it's never going to be mac
and
cheese.
It like surprised me too. And I was fairly certain that they had got the salt and the sugar mixed up, and so that's what happened.
It's like the Disney gumbo. Technically, the Disney gumbo's gumbo, but it's not gumbo.
Speaking of green bean casserole, I'm a fan. And Terry Dugas, when he came on the show, he was talking about like that's his thing that he makes, but he adds pepper jack cheese and andouille sausage to his to kind of kick it up.
Yeah.
Which sounded interesting to me, and I kind of wanted to do that. And I've like ventured way far away from like the traditional green bean casserole because like I always put cheese in mine instead of like the regular fried onions. I use like cheddar cheese onions. Actually, speaking of potato chips, that would also be really good on green bean casserole.
Yeah. When I do green bean casseroles, I make like a mushroom soup like from scratch, and like that's like generally the base of it. And I'll either use bacon or tasso. Cubed up tasso, like rendered down super crispy, is fantastic. Pork belly, like actual pork belly, would be good.
Oh, that'd be very fancy.
I do like normal cheddar with fried onions. I love fried onions, but I don't buy like the French and stuff. I just like shoestring a bunch of them and deep fry them.
Make it yourself.
Right.
All right, we are going to take another break, and when we come back, we have more with Paul. So come back to us. It is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Sunday nights mean the Lafayette Food Junkie Show, live in Acadiana. Brought to you by Prairie Ron Rice.
The hottest gift this year is the Ronaldo bracelet wish list from...
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku. Again, 232-1542. If you guys want to call in with any questions or Thanksgiving nightmare scenarios or good memories. Okay. So, because I cook so much heavy, like fat-filled food for the holidays, I have to try to remind myself that I'm an adult. So to balance all that, I make a green vegetable usually. And then this year, I'm going to do roasted Brussels sprouts. And super easy. Talking about like cooking them light, but they're going to be roasted in bacon grease. But I'm
still Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, that's gonna be our green vegetable for this year. What are some, if all the heavy casserole type dishes, what are some of your favorite vegetables to kind of serve with holiday meals?
I generally go for like gourds, like squashes, like along those lines. Those are always good. Like those are simple. They're easy to roast. They're pretty forgiving. You can do a lot of things with them. If you want to do something quick, you could always do like zucchini noodles, and you can have like a little bit of oil, salt, eat that just like that. You can cook them, eat them raw. It doesn't matter. Greens, I love like smothered greens. Collard greens are everywhere right now. At every store that I've been to so far, like they're just like overflowing. Cook those down for a couple hours. So good. Corn. I eat a lot of corn.
See, I know technically it is a vegetable. I always consider corn a starch, though. So that would never be my vegetable to serve with a meal. It would be another starch.
I don't eat corn like a normal person, though.
Okay, explain that.
I like my corn raw.
Okay.
I much prefer to eat raw corn than
that
any
is
other way.
Interesting.
Have you ever had raw corn?
Yes, I'm fairly certain that I have.
It's sweet and refreshing and wonderful.
Okay.
I can eat raw corn all day long. I'll take like a cob and just cut it all off, and I'll eat it with like a spoon right there.
Okay.
It's so good.
So raw corn, is a side for you.
Yeah, my girlfriend thinks it's crazy, and I'm like, you just don't understand.
Paul was talking about how he likes to have raw corn. Like he likes to eat raw corn.
I love raw potatoes, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't do raw potatoes. Now, all right.
I would eat them every now and then when my mom was making mashed potatoes growing up.
My great grandmother, she was born in like the late 1800s. She always ate and cooked what I called like Depression era food.
Yeah.
Like she cooked like white beans and hot dogs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But she was a G. She would eat like onions like apples.
Oh.
And she would pop raw garlic like candy. Like she would just like take one, just throw it in her mouth and just chew it up. I'm like, Granny, what's wrong with you?
Man.
See, I was thinking about this, and I had a shower thought the other day, and it was that back then, like, especially like Depression era, when we didn't have fruit all year long,
right?
A fruit cake must have been a much better gift.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and people used to get like oranges in their stocking.
Yeah.
I was like, I remember watching Little House on the Prairie, and they would get an orange, and I was like, big deal.
Yeah,
Mom was like, they didn't have fresh fruit.
Yeah, like not
stave off the scurvy.
And, I mean, there's so many things, and like my great grandmother, like she lived to be like well over 100 years old. I loved her name. She's the only woman ever known to be named Elvis.
Okay.
Nice.
Nice. And this was before the actual Elvis.
Oh yeah, before the king. And
yeah.
funny enough, she was also from Tennessee.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk Thanksgiving leftovers, because for me, like, that's the, you ate
That's
your
the
meal.
point of
You pass out.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this, but I did get a boudin pie. I drove to New Iberia, to Cane River, and I got the boudin pie, and we're going to be serving it with the Thanksgiving meal.
Can't wait.
It is not dessert. We've decided it's going to be a part of the meal.
Main course.
Yeah, and are you familiar with like what it's like boudin, and then like a sweet potato souffle, and then it has like this praline cane, like pecan thing on top.
Okay.
So it's got like the sweet and savory
Right. That's what's up.
kind of aspect of it. I'm curious about the pie crust that's in it and what the boudin fat is going to do to that pie crust. Like if it's going to mess it up.
If I had to guess, the boudin is already par cooked,
Okay.
which would mean like if they, let's say, cooked it in the
So,
casing,
like, some of
or
the
like out of
fat
the
is,
casing,
like,
they,
out
I'm sure like
already.
they cooked it down, released a lot of the liquids to where whenever it does cook, it's not going to have like that excess, like, soaking up into the crust. And making it
Gotcha.
nice and
Because that was
soggy.
something that I was
That-
thinking about.
That's the only thing that would seem logical to me to do if I was ever going to do a boudin pie.
Okay. So what are some of your favorite things to do with leftovers besides sandwiches? We talked about the turkey sandwich with the cranberry. I'm going to be making gumbo this year with my leftover turkey.
Can't wait.
Right.
I've not had that actually.
Turkey sandwiches are good. I also like making like chicken salad, but like just using the turkey
Yeah.
instead, which is also good. I like to take a bunch of like the different things like that are there, and I make like breakfast casseroles with them.
Okay. Yeah.
So like if there's like cornbread dressing or whatever, then they got turkey. Anything that would go good with like eggs and like cornbread or like biscuits and stuff like that. And I would just basically put biscuits on like the bottom of a pan that are already like pre-cooked, load it down with all these layers and smash it down. Hit it with some cheese, eggs. and bake that
Yeah.
off.
You just made me think of like the leftover cornbread dressing, like flattening it out, like griddling it and getting it crisp, serving it with some of the roasted Brussels sprouts that are left
Right.
over, and then putting a fried egg on top of that. And then maybe like some hollandaise sauce like on
Right.
that. Maybe the cranberry. The cranberry may be too much, but
Yeah, and then there's other things you could do. Like I remember back in the day, like when I was your average 18, 19-year-old, and I was poor, as anyone could believe. Taking like Thanksgiving leftovers and cutting that into like top ramen, always good.
Oh yeah, that's something else too, like a Thanksgiving ramen to kind of do.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite things to do with leftovers?
Sit with the bowl of rice dressing or cornbread dressing in front of a TV and a spoon.
Yeah, and just
Yeah.
eat that. Okay, and I'm like officially starting to Black Friday shop tonight at midnight. I'm buying an Instapot. We've been talking about it so much, and I'm kind of like on the Instapot bandwagon now. And so at midnight tonight,
It's
I'm
worth it.
purchasing one.
It's worth it at full price. It's definitely worth it on sale.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And then I just found out Bob has an immersion blender. We were talking about that earlier in the show.
What?
Bob actually has something. So.
Did you say that's an emergency averted?
Yeah. Good job with that. Some other things that I'm getting like a Cool Daddy, which is a fry daddy, but it's like in a container, and it has a basket and a lid, so you don't have like the splattering grease everywhere. So
There's no fun in that.
we'll
though.
be frying things
Maybe
now.
I'm cool enough.
Oh, okay. And then we were having some debates on the knife thing. There is a knife set that is going on sale.
Don't do it.
And I didn't know I needed a sandwich knife until I saw this commercial. And now I'm
Do
like, I really need a sandwich knife. I didn't
doubt
even know this existed.
Like what is a sandwich knife?
It is a really cool looking knife okay, first when I was watching it, I was like, this is so stupid. Like, you literally made a knife it's like spread stuff on better because it's like a thicker one.
Right.
But it also has the blade so you can cut the sandwich afterwards. It's literally to just spoon on condiments and cut the sandwich. But I need to have it now. Okay, the advertising got me. It's teal. It matches my kitchen
See,
set.
right there. It's teal. That's how they get you.
I
You're
have
like,
a really
it
nice.
doesn't matter what it is. It's
Yeah.
teal.
Look, I have one knife, and I'm constantly having to clean it. So to have another set of knives to be able to use. I know they're not super fancy.
I just showed you a good set.
Yeah, it was like $350.
And it's worth every penny.
Yeah, no, that's not happening. Okay, we have about...
Get you some of the little Dow Strong. They're cheap.
We have about 35 seconds left of the show. If you had to give somebody one thing of advice for Thanksgiving, what would it be?
Don't eat the day before.
No, you want to eat, because if you don't eat, your stomach shrinks and you're not able to eat as much. You want to have a big meal so that stomach stretches.
I can crush everything. It all depends on where you're I guess eating. I don't know. I don't have any advice. I'm blanking on this. I swear.
Thank you.
Timers.
Okay, we're out. Yes, timers. All right, we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Paul. That's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us next week, Sunday at 6 p.m. This is Tiffiany Daku on News Talk 96.5 KPEL, and this is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy eating at Acadiana, and happy Thanksgiving.
Sunday nights mean the Lafayette Food Junkie Show. Download the podcast every week on KPEL965.com.